Look at that.
What?
Nothing. Just saying, look at that. You look at you. Your lovely face in 2025. Nice to see you, sir.
Yeah, you too.
Great. I'm glad you believe what you say. This is the We Trying channel, a Nerdy by Nature production. That's Leroy. I'm Michael. We're back here in 2025 with another live stream. We gave you a couple of streams going into our couple of recorded stuff going into the holidays, and then we said we were going to take a break
Yeah.
because why not? We deserve time off.
Yeah, I don't feel like it was time off though.
Okay. You want to expand, or that's just you're going to leave that out there for
I'm
people to
just gonna leave it
ponder?
just like that. I mean,
Okay.
if you
Cool.
got kids and you have family for the holidays, you know exactly what that means.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, 2025, and with 2025, there's always stuff to talk about. We got a couple of things we will get through throughout the year, but timely, Rolling Stones released because everybody has a top 50 list of everything. Rolling Stones, Pop Culture Magazine, and whatever else it
Hmm.
is, released its top 50 best video games of all time list.
Yep.
Um, and Leroy and I were discussing it. We haven't talked about our thoughts on the list yet, but we were just talking about this might be something good to talk about. We had done something similar to this. Was it on this channel? It might have been on the other channel, right?
No, we did something on this one.
Okay. You think it was with the IGN list?
Yeah.
Okay. For some reason I thought it was somebody else that wasn't like an IGN, but maybe it was because I can't remember who else it would have been. But yeah, another group of people came together with the top 50 list. Um, do you remember what our thoughts were the last time we did something like this on somebody else on IGN's list?
No, I'm trying to pull up our channel so I could see what we actually did.
Okay.
Um, I probably should do a better job of cataloging some of this stuff,
Yeah, well.
but
Um,
I am
sir, as you
who I
said,
am.
you got kids.
Yeah, I am who I am. Which one of them is still awake right now?
Oh, nice. Oh man, if you could train your kids to catalog your stuff on YouTube, that'd be
Yeah,
golden.
I can't get my kids to appreciate and like their dad. So that's
Oh no.
yeah. So I don't know. For those of you with kids, you know that they go through a mommy phase. They have one of them is firmly rooted in the mommy phase, and the other one is creeping into it. He's not fully invested like the oldest one is, and Evan has told me on several occasions, multiple times a day, I don't want a daddy or I don't want my daddy. And I'm like, bruh,
Oh man,
there's a lot
that's
of
rough.
kids who don't have this luxury, you know? And I'm like, man, I see why people leave.
Yeah.
So
Fantastic.
yeah,
Um,
so yeah,
yeah.
so cataloging our videos is a
Yeah.
long
Uh-huh.
way off.
Hmm. Maybe our New Year's resolution for 2025 is just to give you guys some content every Saturday. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, that should
We'll
be
see
our
what happens.
resolution.
That should be our
Yeah.
resolution. We'll see what happens. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, Rolling Stones releases top 50 list. I don't know if do you want to go one by one. Banks, what's up? Yep, we are live. Can you believe it? 2025, we're live again. I don't know. Do you want to go one by one on the list or give overall thoughts or how'd you?
Let's do overall thoughts in the beginning because this was you saw this before I did, and
Yes.
I was I thought it was IGN, and I'm I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to come at IGN. But IGN's list is a little. I never agree with any of their lists. Um, it's very rare that I agree with like their best of, so to speak. And I don't have a problem with them. It's just one of those things where I'm just like,
Also, just put in the link to the Rolling
yeah, I
Stones
saw.
list for everybody.
So when I saw the Rolling Stones, I felt like we'd get like a, I don't want to say a better list, but a more well thought out list. So I'd like to hear what you have to say because I'm quite sure that I will be in the minority when it comes to this.
Happy New Year's, Banks. Happy New Year's indeed. So I think it's interesting. I don't hate the list. I don't know if I'm getting older and lists don't mean as much to me anymore, or I'm not like as adamant about it has to be what I want or else. I
Hmm.
mean, lists by definition. I mean, if it's more than one people, it's a compromise of people, right? It's not just one person's
Yes,
vision. Usually, in that
agreed.
case, so I feel like the Rolling Stones list is pretty comprehensive in terms of the genres it covers,
Hmm.
the range of stuff it covers, whether it's PC or console, type of games, and when games are made. Kay, you're not late at all. We just started. Welcome. Um, I like there are definitely things that on my list that would probably be higher. Anybody that knows me, and I've said it before on this channel and our previous channel, my favorite game of all time is Chrono Trigger. Um,
Yes,
Chrono Trigger made Rolling Stones list. I would have it
it
higher,
did make the list.
but
Not
I'm not
very
mad
high.
at it. No, not very high,
Was,
but
was it
I mean,
40?
I think so. But like out of 50 games, out of what tens of thousands of games, okay,
Okay.
that's fine. I don't hate that. Um, yeah. So I mean, my overall thoughts. I think it's fun. I like it. I do think as I get older, list I used to be on two different sides. One, like I said, I was kind of like, oh, this list isn't my list, so it sucks. And then I
Hmm.
kind of got like, oh, I don't care about lists anymore. It's whatever. But now I'm more of the opinion of it gives people stuff to talk about in a friendly manner. Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
it can be good criticism overall. Um, and yeah, I when I before I started looking at the list and I just saw Rolling Stones, my first thought was like, oh, they're not going to pick any games. They're going to be certain kind of way. But again, no, I think they did a nice plethora of stuff for me. So
Okay.
I had good stuff to say. Go ahead and tear it down.
No, no, no. How many games do you own or have played on this list? Do you know off the top of your head?
Let me go through the list and look, and then you want to
Because
talk for a second, and I'll get
no,
back to you
I'm just
because I
asking
can't
because
remember.
so I'm pulling out the games that I own on the list, and there's only a few that. And I also think it's interesting that they didn't do franchises, which I thought was. I will say that I thought that was a very big. I like that because that's a cop out, in my opinion. Um, to do like a franchise, like Call of Duty as a franchise. Like I like pick one game out of that franchise and say this is the best game. Like I really
Mhm.
thought that was. Hold on, hold on one second. Mom went to
Sure.
bed. She sleep. I think that worked. Actually, I don't believe it, but I'd like to tell myself that
Sure.
you manifest the things that you want. Um, no, I so I pulled out the games that I thought that I owned. So I have one, uh, two, three, four, five, six.
If I had to guess, out of the
I have
50 games,
seven.
I think I've played 30 to 35 of them, and I
Mhm.
probably owned 15 of them.
So I really I will say that when I first heard about the top 50 list from Rolling Stone, I thought we'd get a different perspective, and we did. And I'm not mad at the list, but I will say that I think it's an imperfect list, like all lists.
Hmm.
And hold on a second.
Hmm.
Uh, so just to keep everybody in the loop of what's going on, we're having a trouble or problem with getting them to go to sleep and not having to constantly go in their room. And uh, I am we have a difference of opinion parenting wise, where I'm like, Banks, I'm like, yeah, take your ass to sleep. And when I say something, you should just do it. And my wife is of a different opinion. I'm going to not be the stereotypical black guy because she's white. We have a difference of opinion on how raising our kids, but that's what I'm going to say. uh, I said we not going to be that family that has a white woman letting her kids do whatever the fuck they want to. Um,
We're past that 1 minute mark. All right, let those curse words fly.
yeah, they gonna fly tonight. Um, so no, I feel like this list has a problem of trying to, and every list is going to have this problem. So I'm not knocking the list. I'm just pointing out that this list is going to have a problem that every list is going to have of how has the game changed the medium and is it a good game? In other words, has your is your game revolutionary where every game after it has now copied it? Or has your game told a good story, completed its mission of giving you a game that blows your mind in gaming wise? Yeah, Kate, that's exactly where I'm at right now. We're in it. Um, so I think they waffle back and forth between certain games that changes the medium and certain games that like storytelling wise blows it out of the water. So like let's take for
So,
example.
okay, hold on.
Go ahead.
Before you,
No.
so Kay was asking what is the rubric. So I'm going to read like the first two paragraphs from the article, just so everybody's an idea of what they claim to have wanted to do. Um, from Super Mario to Grand Theft Auto, these are the titles that have defined the culture by Rolling Stone.
Keep
First
going.
article says there was a this freaking ad is okay. Here we go. There was a time when a great video game just needed to be fun. In the days before 4K screens and season passes, it was all that mattered. It didn't matter if the design was janky, if you could finish the whole thing in one setting, and frankly, if it was way too hard. But things evolved. Over time, games became more layered. They could tell a story the length of a novel or with the strength of a film. They could challenge the mind either with puzzles or a test of reflexes. Most importantly, they could bring people together. In an online lobby, arcade, or just on the couch, gaming is really the story of people who play them. But let's see, but to pick the best games ever made, there's a lot of considerations. Gaming is a medium where sequels thrive. They can always look and play better. And while certain gaming dynasties run dozens of entries deep, there needs to be representation across the board. Today, everyone's a gamer, but they're not all playing the same thing. For this list, we looked at both how influential each game was at arrival, as well as whether it still holds up. A good game may have played well, but a great one still does. These are games that made the culture what it is today and will chart where it goes tomorrow. So that's their
I
kind of
agree.
little setup.
So that's why I said I understand that what their rubric is, and I think that's the hard time that every the hard problem every list is going to have. How do you how do you rank a game story wise versus how that game changed gaming?
Sure.
Because like I think story wise, Dead Space is an awesome story. It's a very compact but it didn't change gaming on the level of like a Resident Evil did, if that makes sense. And Dead Space takes a lot of its game changing mechanics and some of the things that it does storytelling wise from a lot of different games, but it also steals from Resident Evil. So as I would say, it tells a better story of Resident Evil because it's the first one is a brand new property, whereas Resident Evil continues to build on the lore that is Resident Evil. I can see why a game like that isn't as high up on this list as say a Resident Evil 4. So that's
Do you remember off the top of your head, looking at Banks's question, is Dead Space on the list or no? Because I can't. I don't remember like where
Dead
everything
Space
is.
is not on the
For
list.
certain. It's not on the list. Okay.
No, nope. Dead Space is not on the list, and so that's why I said. That's what's hard for. for me in this list. So like, I mean, I like the list. I really do. I disagree with a lot on the list, but I like it. But then to me, it's the number placement. I think this should be higher versus this because, like the rubric says, you're weighing against a game's introduction into gaming, but also how it changed gaming and what it did at the time. So I understand that. If you had to rank this list, is this a great list for you, or is this like,
Oh
yeah,
man, rank the list. I feel like you didn't
I
listen to what I said at the top, sir. I don't
say
know.
what?
Let me see. Let me see.
Well, I don't like. I guess what I'm saying is before we get into the actual list, my question is, where do you like? Does this? If you had to, if you were selling somebody, I'm getting into gaming. What are some of the best games that I would play, and what are some of the best games that I should? Is this a list you would give someone?
I think you could give this somebody. I think you could give this list to somebody and be like, "This gives you a wide range of stuff to play."
Hmm.
Maybe there'd be some things I personally wouldn't like. I won't say where it is yet because we're not doing numbers, but
Yeah,
Fortnite is on the list. I personally don't care about Fortnite, but I mean, I
that's
recognize its influence. I would be
and see
crazy to think it's not
that
influential.
so that's what I'm getting at. So that's where I'm coming at this as. If you had to give this list to somebody, so let's say, perfect example. Let's say K is a lifelong gamer. K stopped gaming. I believe K. Tell me the platform you stopped where you stopped buying. I think you said it was PS3 or PS4. So like somebody like K, who's been a gamer, who's played games for a number of years and then stopped, and then came back and said, Michael, I need a top 10, top 50 so I can just pick and choose of different types of games to play. Would you recommend this list? And honestly, as
I
many
would.
problems I would recommend this list.
Yeah, like if we were just like to say to break it, the top 10 games, I think you got a wide range of stuff. Like you said, I could argue on the numbers, but I don't hate any of the games being here. And I'm not like, oh, I would like personally I could put other stuff in, but I mean I recognize its significance in here.
Real quick before we go any further, Kay, no, Banks. Banks, I'm going to answer your question. When you said Dead Space really succeeds by leaning into cosmic horror, I never played the game or watched others play, but goddamn, those animated movies were terrifying. I will say this: Dead Space and Doom 3 were two of the most outside of. I never played Alien Isolation, but Dead Space, Doom 3 were some of the most terrifying games I played. Now I know Outlast. No, no, it's not Outlast. Condemned. I never really got scared about Resident Evil. Resident None of the Resident Evil movies scared. The game scared me. They frustrated me because of the controls. Dead Space is one of the first games that I played where the controls matched, where I could do everything I wanted to do and I couldn't. Like it's just because of and I will say this: Resident Evil did not lean into sound the way Dead Space and its successor has. And that's something Control, Alan Wake has done, like that. The sound, Hellblade, Sinuous Saga 2, and the first one. A lot of people don't realize that sound is very important. Um, so you're right, and that's why I said this list is a little incomplete in a certain way, but I get where they're coming from. So I wanted to bring up that question. Kate, you were the person I was thinking of about this list, which is why I brought you up when we because I remember in the comments you had posted you had stopped gaming after a certain point. You still watched the video, so that's why I brought Kay up. So Michael, I apologize. Continue.
No, yeah, you said what I if we're just looking at the top 10 list as a way to do a sample size, I think everything on there is good. I don't know if I've
So
played every single one of the top 10, but I recognize their significance, and I think you could have hundreds of hours just with the top 10 games that are there.
yes, you
You're
could.
whether
You're
you're
right.
mainlining the game or trying to find every secret.
Yeah. So let's get into the list. We've been here for 20 minutes and we ain't even talked about the list, the actual list itself. So let's
No,
start with motherfucking 20. Oh, no, 50. Sorry.
it's
I
like, wait,
said
where are
20.
we going? Yeah,
Sorry,
okay.
the page I had up had 20 because I specifically there's certain games I definitely want to talk about, but let's start with 50. Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing, specifically the one on the Switch.
Hmm.
Um, I'm happy this made it because whether or not you like this kind of game, I think recognizing when it came out during the pandemic, and I don't know if people remember. I think you and I remember because we were in that kind of
Yep,
in that.
we did a story about it.
Yeah,
It was
um,
in your 11. We made sure
yeah,
to put in the 11.
we did. Um,
So
like
much to J.R. Barry's chagrin.
I don't know that he hated the story. He just didn't care. I don't know that he hated. He's like, yeah, whatever. I think he trusted my judgment just to be like, yeah, it's fine. Yes, sir.
I'm gonna. So we're gonna do something in the new year.
Uh-huh.
I got this from Friends.
Okay.
So in Friends, when Ross and Rachel wanted to name the baby that they had out of wedlock, they wanted to name the baby, and they both hated the names. And Phoebe said, "You should each get three vetoes." I believe in a stream we should each get three bullshits. You don't have to use them,
Uh-huh.
but you can't go more than three. I'm
Okay.
gonna use my first bullshit right now
Okay. All right.
because
Fair enough.
Jr. hated swaths of people. Do you think he gave a fuck about video games? Now tell me I'm wrong.
I'm not doing
Tell me,
this, sir. I have a
hold
job. I'm not
on.
doing. I'm not.
I'm
I
not
can't.
saying I'm not saying Jr. is in a particular group. I'm just saying he hated people. Is that a fair assessment? That man
Whatever
disliked
you got to say, man.
that man disliked humans. So do you really think he cared about us putting in Animal Crossing versus Doom Eternal?
That's what I'm saying. He didn't care. He didn't hate it.
He did hate it. He
Okay,
hated. Hold on. Did he not hate the little girl we used to put in the 11, Sawyer, to spread joy and love across the Americas? Did he
sir. I'm
not
not.
rebel
I'm
against
not
Sawyer?
doing this.
This is, hey, guys, keep a track. My first bullshit. Continue.
Um,
Animal Crossing.
but Animal Crossing, it just hit at the perfect time for so many people. It was
It did.
everywhere. It like AOC was playing it, politicians were playing it, Danny Trejo was playing it. People
Yep.
did late night talk shows in Animal
Hmm.
Crossing.
Yep.
It was a lot of it was a way for people to cope. It came out the same day as Doom,
Doom
2016
Eternal.
or 2018.
Yep. It's so
I can't
it's
even
so
remember when the pandemic was. It's been
I
so long, but
remember.
whatever,
Let me
whatever
tell
it
you how
was.
big that game was. NPR did an entire segment on video games throughout the pandemic, and Doom Eternal versus Animal Crossing was one of them.
Okay. And one thing that's really cool about Animal Crossing is a lot of times with a lot of games, I think the majority of them are conflict based. Whether you're fighting somebody or you're shooting somebody or you're
Yes.
even Mario stomping on somebody. Animal Crossing really isn't that. It's a chill out. And granted, there's a bunch of games like it. I mean, you could say Stardew
Stardust
Valley,
Valley.
which is on here later. But I mean,
Stardew Valley.
it's just a chill game. There's no really real conflict unless you count.
Let Tom,
Yeah, Tom Nook.
fuck
Um,
Tom.
Tom is a gangster, man. He just wants his bells. However, he's gonna get him. He's gonna get him. Um, but wisely, they didn't allow you to attack Tom because that might have caused some other stuff. But yeah, like I said, chill game, just nice, easy to play. So yeah, at
Yeah,
number 50. Okay,
yeah.
I'm cool with that.
Mhm. Hades 49.
That is a game that is so the mechanics of Hades are so well done and so well refined. And I think that is a special case where it came out in early access form where people played it forever and they
Mhm.
gave the developer so much. Who is Hades made by? I don't know. I'm not going to
Hades
try
is
and
made
remember.
by.
But the
That's
develop.
another thing that I didn't like. They just put the Super Giant games.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, they they took feedback from people who were playing it during the early access. So when it finally releases 1.0, it was a great game. Um, the mechanics are fantastic. The overall roguelike element of it is great. It does a lot for the LGBTQ community in terms of the characters and who they play, which I think was interesting.
Well, I mean, you're
You
doing a
get that
story about
more.
Greek mythology. Yeah. The Greeks
Yeah,
got
but I mean,
the
yeah,
Greeks
but
got
like if
down.
you look
You
at
know
like
your
the original
history.
God, if you look at the original God of War games, they weren't really touching it like this did.
Sure, but here's the thing. Here's my question, and this is something that we should go later. Is that because this was an indie game and God of War is more mainstream, and your target audience for God of War is different than your target audience for a Hades game?
Possibly, it could be.
I'm only bringing it up because if you know your history about ancient Rome, ancient Greece, some of these old civilizations, you know they had a different outlook on relationships, genders. So I think with an indie game like Hades, you can get away with that versus if you're Santa Monica Studios
Sure,
or Naughty
I,
Dog
totally
or
valid point.
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Hades was great. I haven't played Hades 2 yet because at this point, I kind of just want to wait until officially 1.0 comes out because I think they're doing the same thing like they did with the first Hades, where
Mhm.
they're doing early access to get everything working, and I think they're still
Okay.
developing levels and weapons. But I
Mhm.
imagine Hades 2 will be great. But yeah, Hades
Uh,
1, fantastic. Um, and the really cool thing about Hades 1 was so it's a roguelike. So generally, roguelikes are going to be harder games because they want you to kind of
Hollow
fail, get
Knight.
better at it. But what I liked about Hades 1 is yeah, Hades 1 gave you an option, and I don't play enough roguelikes to know how often this happens, but it gave you an option where if you kept dying, you could slowly make it so that you were more durable, so that you could eventually beat the
Mhm.
game, which is great. Um, a lot of fun.
Personally, I like that this made the list. Any top 50 list that has an indie on it, I'm all for. This list could have easily been the best of AAA games. This list was not.
Sure.
And I personally, and I say this, this is going to sound weird. Even though I have not played Hades like you have played it, like I downloaded the demo, was like, oh, this is cool, moved on. I like that Hades is on it. I do wish it was higher up on the list, only because I would
Okay.
like to have seen more indie games crack that top 2025 number because you're, and that's only because I think when people see this list and they see the top 20 games or 25 games, seeing an indie up there, I think is good for gaming. Because if you look at a game like Hades versus a game like Red Dead Redemption 2, they're apples to oranges, but when it comes to promotions, the buzz around a particular game, Red Dead Redemption has Rockstar behind it. Hades has Supergiant.
Hmm.
Which one do you think is going to be more well known? So, and I get
Sure.
that's where I'm coming at it, but I don't knock the pick. I do just wish it was higher. Um, what's next? Because a lot of these games, because we're going to go to Castlevania Symphony of Night, I'm shocked this is not higher. Only because if we're weighing this game and your Metroid games, this side scroller influenced an entire generation of indie side scrollers.
But then, okay, if it is higher, what would you
And
move
see,
down in
that's
its place?
so
And also, you mentioned Metroid. Metroid is super
yes,
high. Super
and
Metroid
that
is
and
super
that
high.
that's so that's the thing that I think I would love. Here's the thing that I would have loved to seen, and I wish I worked at Rolling Stone. I would have loved a companion video.
Huh. Everybody's saying the title saying cinematic universes. I don't know why it's saying that because I have it
Well,
as
let's go to our channel, sir. Well, you keep talking.
greatest games of all time on discussion.
You keep
Um,
talking.
Thanks for letting us know why it's saying that, guys. I don't know why it is saying that.
Uh,
That's weird.
but yeah,
First place streaming greatest games of all time. Hmm.
yep, it does say that.
Okay.
Working on it right now.
Um. Okay.
Hmm,
Cool. You fix that.
interesting. So no, that's one of the things.
Oh, Bank says it's fine now.
You're welcome.
Did you change
I'm
it or
working
does
on it
it?
right now, but I haven't changed it.
they're saying it's fine now. I don't know. It's weird.
But it
Title
did say
change.
when I
It's
opened
very
it up
weird.
and I clicked in it, it
Okay,
did say that. So,
interesting.
um, no, I guess
Restream's weird.
that's one of the things that I think that I I like about this list, but I would have liked to have seen like a discussion of like why this came here, why this went there. Kim from Chicago, thanks for showing up. Uh, because I do think that
So you would almost want it as a like one way they could expand upon this is like they maybe they did
oh
video
yeah,
essays
I
where
def
you could
like
just
I
watch and be like, or a podcast, like, hey, this is why we
here's
put
the
this
thing.
number
I
here.
would love for somebody to drop a list and then after the list is out like a week or two later and be like, "Hey, we're going to talk about why we came up with this list and why we put this game here.
Hmm.
Why is this here? Why is this there?" And talk and get everybody in a room and say, "This is why this list came out." And say, "I would have loved to have put Hades further up. I would have moved Symphony of the Night further up and moved Metroid. Like to me, if you're going to put Symphony of the Night there, Metroid should be closer to it because to me, you Metroidvania is an actual word. So, in my opinion, and again, I've been wrong
When you say actual word, you mean
in
like,
gaming. If I say Metroidvania, you know exactly
okay,
what that is. So
sure,
you, and if you're going to combine a word, you have Castlevania here and Metroid here in your list. You see, does that make sense? Like the word is the two games to make a whole entire genre, and
sure,
so that's just me. But go ahead.
okay. I mean, what is there to say about Castlevania Symphony of the Night? I think it improved upon all the stuff that Super Metroid was doing. It looked great. The music was awesome. That is a game that I never actually beat, but and people, older gamers or gamers who played everything, let me know. I feel like after you beat
Mhm,
the game, the castle turned upside down, and you could go back through it again with different routes
mhm.
and everything. One of the games that really helped define speed running a lot. I mean, it took hours upon hours to beat the game. I think now people have gotten it down to single digit hours in terms of beating it and 100%ing it and everything. So, yeah, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And one thing I'll say, I think it's interesting that Konami, for the most part, is probably still chasing the high of Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I don't know if there's been another Castlevania since then that has been regarded as highly. 2D or 3D. People like them, but I don't think any of them have been Symphony of the Night level. You could make the case for the GBA Castlevania games; those are really good, but again, maybe not the PlayStation Symphony of the Night. And I don't know if they'll ever get back
Hold
there
on.
again.
So here's I'm trying to pull up my Steam list for one of the games that they call a direct successor to. Where is my list? Where's my actual Steam games? Ah, here we go. Library. I think it's called Bloodstained. Um,
Sure,
do you know which game I'm talking about?
let's think. Yeah, I've heard of it.
So you got Ender Lilies, a literal direct uh, homage to. Um, hold on, maybe if I take it off Wi-Fi. Here we go. There we go.
My
There we
ring
go.
light's about to fall over.
Um,
There we go.
um,
Okay.
here we go. Interesting. That's not. There we go. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. You've got that. You've got Ori Will of the Wisp. I'd say that's a Metrovania, correct? Um,
Yeah, yeah,
I
both of
would
them.
say I said Ender Lilies, but I guess those are the games that I'm talking about are direct descendants of Castlevania. So I to me, I just would have had this higher. But what's next?
Okay. The
Zelda. Go ahead.
so I mean, here's my guilty admission. I've never played A Link to the
Really
Past on Super Nintendo. No,
interesting.
Yeah, I enjoyed the newer Zelda games, but I've never played Link to the Past. So I mean, I that's cool. I recognize the significance. People talk about it all the time. People talk about the Light World and the Dark World, and how good that was. Did they? I think they did a remake of Link to the Past, but in like a Switch form. I think, right? Or no, it was a Game Boy game they did. I think people wanted a new remake of that. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say on A Link to the
Really?
Past. Just yeah, just I mean, just because I never played it. That's a game on my bucket list of, eventually, man, games just get on that list. You try to get to it, you may get to it, you may not get to it. I think when that came out, let's see, what year was that? Did it say it was?
Hmm.
92? So what? I would have been 8. So I don't think I had a Super Nintendo in 92. I probably get one to
Oh,
96. So by then, I wasn't old enough to go back and buy older games yet. So I saw it in magazines like, oh, this is cool, but yeah, I didn't have a Super Nintendo to play it, and I never went back to play it.
mm. Well, I played the first one. I never played this one. Um,
Like as in on
yes,
Nintendo.
I played the first Zelda. Thought
Okay.
it was amazing. Loved it. Didn't play this one. I have no issue with Zelda games. I do find it interesting this game is as high up as it is. But
High up in terms of what? Like it's in like
47.
the is
I
wait, when you say high, you mean like you
I
thought it
don't
would
think it
be
should have made the list.
lower like oh, okay, got it. Okay.
But I just said I didn't play it. So take my word as a grain of salt. Fuck Leroy because he didn't play it. So
Mhm.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
Mhm.
so because I didn't play it, this is when you say, "Oh, would you?" I'd have put Dead Space on this. Just like took this off. But again, I'm biased
Mhm.
for Dead Space because I played that. I love that game. I didn't play this. Don't give a shit about it. I like Zelda, but not this game. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay.
Sure.
Excuse me. So, excuse me.
So next up, 46 is
Yep.
League of Legends.
I like that this is up
I
there.
got nothing
Say
to
what?
say. I got nothing
I
to
see.
say.
I like.
I try to watch League of Legends like I don't know what is happening. Um, because I almost need a primer to somebody, and I'm sure there's a YouTube video that can explain what the lanes
Mhm.
are, the mid lanes and top, middle, bottom, and what characters to pick and whatever. I did enjoy them using League of Legends in the CBS Paramount show Players. I don't know if you ever saw that. It was like an 8 episode series, kind of like a mockumentary chronicling the lives of
Mhm.
esports players. I thought was really good. I think they were playing League of Legends, pretty sure. I thought that was fun. I enjoy Arcane a lot, um, but like the actual game of
Mhm.
League of Legends, I recognize it. People play it all the time. It's one of the most played esports games. That I know those championships are huge for League of Legends and Dota and all that kind of stuff.
Uh, hold on. Done. All right. Let me scroll down. Save changes. All right, back. I like that this is on here. I would have, but again, this is where we go back and forth between where we say, should this be higher up? Should this be lower up? As far as MOBA, uh, as a hit, I think I think this should be higher up. I think 46 is a little too low. I think League of Legends is in the vein of World of Warcraft. I think this game should be higher up, and not just it should be higher because of the gaming. I think it should be higher up because of, like it says in the article, Netflix's Arcane. I think Arcane, and you were the one who put me on Arcane, is one of the greatest video game adaptations of all time and one of the greatest animated series of all time. And
Sure.
I think, which is interesting, that they do not mention the in Castlevania, the Netflix series, like they do Arcane.
Sure.
So I think that should be higher up. But I didn't play it because it's not my game. But sorry, that's not what I wanted to do. Hit the
I was like, did you turn
No,
the
I
chat
didn't mean to
off?
turn the chat off. I'm trying to get it back.
Okay,
Nope.
that
Nope.
ain't it. Jesus.
Yeah,
You
go
want me to
ahead.
do
Because
it?
I was trying to move back to
Okay.
the list. But yeah, I have no problem with it. I have no problem where it is. I would have liked to have it further higher up.
Okay.
Um, the next on the list is Fortnite. I get why Fortnite is up here. I don't have a problem with Fortnite being on this list or where it is. And I do, to me, this gives the list credence to me because there could have been a push to put this list up higher because of what this game is. And and
Sure.
I respect them saying this is a big game, this is a massive platform. What it is may actually change gaming and change communities because of what's built around Fortnite. And they said, no, it's 45. I could, I respect that.
I mean, it talks about like essentially every pop culture license, or pretty much every
Yeah,
pop culture license is in this game
they have
somewhere or
fucking
another
concerts in it.
in terms of characters. Yeah, yeah. People were talking about metaverses, like this is a
Yeah,
metaverse
Zuck,
essentially.
take notes. Should have made this instead of
Yeah.
fucking tamping down on content.
Do you remember what Fortnite was
Mm-hmm.
before it
Mm-hmm.
became this? When it was like the
Yep.
OG Fortnite, Battle of
Yep. They
Storms or
were trying to be
whatever,
PUBG.
and then they said,
Yep.
"Hey, let's."
And
They said, "Hey, you know what? Let's copy Arma and
here's
PUBG
the
and do
thing:
what they're doing," and it took off.
someone, I don't know if they have these. Someone should actually do a documentary about Fortnite, the beginning of what Fortnite was, and how it's turned into what it is now. And I haven't seen it yet.
Sure.
I know no one is working on it as of right now, as far as like I've looked on YouTube, but it's like a serious documentary, like a frontline that says, this is what Fortnite was. We were failing, epic, and then they changed it and it turned into this. Because to me, that story is very important to gaming. And that's why I said I respect, excuse me, Rolling Stones putting this at 45. Here's the one that I was shocked wasn't higher. And I've got no problem with it, but this is the one that I think is going to cause some controversy. Elden Ring at 44.
Elden Ring. These are one of the games that's too difficult for me to play. I don't like to be challenged like that in a game. I like a little challenge, but I don't need that in my life. For people who love it, that's great.
More power to you.
Um, yeah, that's cool. Like, nah, bro, I don't need that in my life to do that. Um, I think what I hear from people is that like part of the beauty is mastering those challenges and learning the timing and everything. Becoming a master of the game is such a skill in and of itself that if you can do that, it does show some sort of mastery in video game form. Kind of reminds me of not the same thing, but like people who are really good at speed running, how like they master a game and break its limits and know everything about a particular game. So I think that's interesting. Um, it being higher, I wonder if they didn't make it higher because of the recency of it, possibly.
No, I think they didn't make it higher because it is it is a new game. It is a great game, but it doesn't. It combines a couple of genres together, but it doesn't elevate gaming, if that makes sense. And Bink says it best. I'm an Elden Ring fan, and I think it's where it should be on the list. And that right there is going to distill everything I'm about to say. Elden Ring combines open world gaming, um, the not the roguelike, but what's the word I'm looking for? Dead Space? No, no,
I
no,
mean,
no,
it
no.
is
It's
roguelike.
not roguelike. Souls like. That's what I was looking for. I was trying to. It's
Oh,
it's
okay.
open world. It's Souls like. It's from software, and it's George R. R. Martin. It's all of those things mixed in, but it doesn't elevate and change gaming storytelling wise like Elder Scrolls did. like a Witcher 3 did, if that makes any sense. It's, in other words, storytelling wise, in an open world RPG game, it didn't do that. It gave you all of these things. It's a hodgepodge of all of these things. Soulsborne, Souls like, yes, I don't knock it. It's not for me. And I do enjoy people. I watch the videos. I love watching the videos of Elden Ring. And I think the Erdtree is a great addition to gaming. But as far as a top 50, it is exactly where it needs to be. Thank you, Banks, for that. I want to get back real quick for the comments. Kim from Chicago brought up a comment or brought something up about League of Legends. And I'm trying to scroll into the comments. Hold on, chat. There we go.
Looks like they talked about legs, as in was he talking
No,
about, did he mean was he
it's
trying to
the
talk about like
comment we were talking about. If League of Legends needed the arcane bump, that it's weak, that is a weakness in the game. It didn't need the arcane bump. I think what we're missing is something in that world was so enticing that they were able to make an animated series about that world that it crossed genres and fans. I did a talk at in South Carolina. We have is it two or three governor schools? We have one in Greenville.
I think there's one for the arts and one
So
for
okay, so
science
I
and
was in
mathematics.
Greenville, did a talk, did some interviews, and then we stopped, and then we did a talk with some of the high schools because it's a high school. So I did a talk with the high school students. League of Legends is so big, and Arcane is so big that it crossed over into high school students watching Arcane and then being interested in League of Legends, and that's of the world that they built in 10 years. Riot built that world. I don't think it's a weakness of the game that it needed Arcane. I just think that if you did not know what League of Legends is and you're not interested in that world because of the mechanics of the game, you just don't know. I think that's a testament to that game's world building, that you could create characters, have an animated series, and it lives on its own. I think that was a testament to the game itself, not a weakness. So I understand where you're coming from. I have a difference of opinion. Ken asked about Facebook's metaverse. I hope metaverse dies. I'm with you. I hope they don't ever add legs. I hope the North Koreans hack the metaverse and destroy it. Um, hope the metaverse dies. I have no interest in the metaverse, and I hope gaming. I hope Zuck learns hard and fast that he cannot create the metaverse. Just me. Friend of the show, Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Next game.
Are we
We
doing
don't
every
have
single
to. I
game?
just, I, you know what? Let's skip around. So Arkham City. So here's the thing. We talked about games. What's on the list? At 42, Arkham City.
Hmm. So hey, here's a question for you. Of the Rocksteady Arkham games, is that the one to put on the
Nope.
list of the three?
I thought Arkham Knight.
Interesting. I'm happy with Arkham City.
So is Arkham City the one that's made by?
That's the second one. Arkham City is Rocksteady. This is
Uh,
Rocksteady. Arkham Origins is the one that's like not the other ones. Because you have Arkham Asylum, Arkham City,
I
Arkham Knight,
so
and then Arkham
I would
Origins
have
rolls
went
together.
Knight or Asylum first. I would not have went City
Okay.
only because. So here's why I wouldn't have went City. Arkham Asylum. Do you remember when the change happens?
Uh-huh.
That's where I disagree with City because City doesn't do that. When you play Arkham, when you play the original Arkham Asylum, when you hit a part in the game, the game mechanics change. The actual world changes. And I think that's important that Arkham City does not do. Now the gameplay itself was a little strengthened. They worked on some things, but I think for me it should either be Asylum or Arkham Knight. Uh, so
Okay. I think they made the right choice with
okay.
City personally, because I think City improved upon everything with Asylum and Arkham Knight. As much as they, not to spoil it, but they were like, this character isn't going to be this character, and it's like, I mean, technically it's not, but it is kind of the same thing. You just gave it a
I
different
so
name. I really feel like that kind of let me down with that whole
so
thing.
the Arkham Knight, I think the reason why I like it so much is because I think, and I can understand why Knight's not on the list, and this is why I would go with Asylum. Arkham Knight builds upon all the games that comes before, whereas Asylum is the first one, kind of like Call of Duty Modern Warfare is on this list.
Hmm.
Out of all the Call of Duty games, the modern games after Modern Warfare, I'm not going to say none of them matter. That's not what I'm saying. But Modern Warfare changed Call of Duty, it changed first person shooters, and it changed gaming, if that makes sense. I think Arkham Knight, Arkham Asylum did that for the Batman games. That's just my
Okay.
take. What's next?
Um,
Metroid Prime. You're the Metroid guy. Should this have been higher?
I don't know if that's a if I'm the Metroid guy.
You're the
I
Nintendo guy.
enjoy
Sorry,
Metroid.
I apologize.
Okay, sure. Yeah, Metroid. I mean, Samus is great. Samus is a bounty hunter. She's awesome. Um, like the original Metroid was cool, and then when you found out that Metroid is a girl, that blew everybody's mind at the time. They're like,
Sir,
oh,
it
this is
blows
a
people's
bounty
mind
hunter. That's
right
a
now.
woman. That's
It blows
unheard.
people's mind right now.
That's true. It continues to blow people's minds, but back then it made it
I'm
even more of like, what? This is a
I'm going to
woman who's
say
out here
this,
doing
and
this
this is
kick-ass
going,
stuff.
and somebody's probably going to link this. Probably, there are guys out right now who are like, "Why these bitches in gaming?" Like that is
Yeah,
literally a
probably.
sentiment we're having right now. You want to know? I know it's right now. Naughty Dog just gave us the trailer for their next game, Intergalactic, and that is causing so many controversies because they put a bald black woman in gaming.
I mean, those people are never going to be happy, so who cares?
True, but these are the same people who are upset that Siri is the new Witcher. But if you followed anything that has to do with The Witcher, you know that is the line of succession. Siri is going to be the next Siri. If you watch the show, played the game, that game is on this list,
Sure.
and they're
Yeah.
freaking. So yeah, it
What I
wasn't. It's not just shocking then; it's shocking now.
Sure. Um, we talked about it before with Metroidvania and what that term is, right? Like the first
Mhm.
part of that is Metroid from the Metroid type of games. I think what Metroid Prime did was that was interesting. One, it was made by Retro Studios, I believe, which is an American developer. That kind of stood out for people because people at the time, nobody really thought a Western developer could do a Nintendo game like a Japanese developer. Because
Yes.
before Retro did this, I want to say, although they had some really good games, they had Kobe Bryant 64, I think. I think that's what it was. Whatever the N64 game with Kobe Bryant, which I thought was fantastic. But
Mhm.
um, for them to take Metroid, which was traditionally a 2D game, and make it a first person 3D game and make it still feel good with all the movement, people didn't think that they could pull it off, but they did. It still gave you that same feeling and it made it more immersive by putting you in that first person experience.
Mhm.
So I mean, Metroid Prime. People are waiting for Metroid Prime 4.
Yep.
Some people think it'll be a launch title for Switch 2. I don't think so, but I mean, it's coming for Switch 2. Um, yeah, Metroid Prime. I see it. I'm happy where it is on the list.
Okay.
Knowing where Super Metroid is, I'm glad both those games made it, and I could see
Okay.
why this is here.
I got no problem with it. 41. Here's the one that I'm interested to see because the floor is yours. Chrono Trigger, number 40.
Uh,
Honesty. Honesty.
I mean, I don't. Again, I'm not mad at other people's list because the like I could be pissed if it didn't make the list if it didn't make the list at all.
Okay.
If Rolling Stone said the top 50 games out of hundreds of thousands of games and Chrono Trigger makes a list, that's a win in my book. As great as Chrono Trigger is, and again, it's mine for just the gameplay mechanics, the dual text, the triple text, the story, the music. I think Frog's theme song is one of the best video game songs ever made. It gives me goosebumps every time I hear it. But I think the fact that it's on the list speaks volumes. This was like SquareSoft before it was Square Enix. It was SquareSoft, and it was like it was the dream team. It was the programmers, the directors, everybody you wanted from SquareSoft working on this, and the character animation and designs from Dragon Ball creator Akira Toriyama. This had everything you could want in it. Has more than a dozen endings in it. You can beat the. I mean, if you know what you're doing, you can beat it in like what 20, 30 minutes, probably even less now,
Mhm.
depending on which ending you're trying to get. Um, Obviously, I would have it higher. I'm trying to think of all the RPGs that are on here. I know those probably. I know they sold more than what Chrono Trigger did. I don't know what Chrono Trigger sold, um, but this is one where I'm like, what I would want from this list is for people to go and play it, and there to be a fervor that would make Square Soft or not Square Soft, Square Enix want to re-release Chrono Trigger and do maybe not do what Final Fantasy VII is doing now with remake and rebirth because that's interesting or it works for in that case for the 3D world. But if we could
Mhm.
get a new that HD 2D graphic style that Square Enix is doing with a lot of games and even Nintendo with Project Triangle Strategy would do that with Chrono Trigger, I would love for them to do that. But yeah, could it be higher? I think so. I mean it's not spoilers, you guys will see it in the list, but I think Final Fantasy VII is number 7 or number 8. It's in the top 10 at least.
Mhm.
Personally, I would put Chrono Trigger over Final Fantasy VII. People who have watched this channel long enough, and even our old channel, know I really hated Final Fantasy VII. Or when I first played it, I didn't get it because
You you thought
I
the
wasn't
hype
old
was
enough.
you thought the hype was overdone.
Yeah, and
That was that.
I wasn't old enough to get what was going on in the game when I first played it. And what was that, seventh grade? Probably. I was like, "What is this? This looks cool," but I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Um, it wasn't until I played it, I don't know, 10, 15 years later, like, okay, this is fun. But I'm still like, I don't really understand. And I think part of that issue is I didn't do all the deep dive lore and research that other people had done because it's famously known like the English translation wasn't as good as what was given in the original Japanese text of the game. So there were certain things that were missing. So certain key story beats didn't necessarily make sense all the time in the English translation unless you had done the research and heard from other people. And then playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Remake, I was like, oh, this is great. What they were If they could have done this back in '97, that would have been wild. But to have the new technology to tell a deeper story is really cool, and it made me go back and enjoy Final Fantasy VII um, more recently, like in the last 3 or 4 years. So I understand Final Fantasy VII being higher just because it was a phenomenon. Um, it was like the first time you were seeing these incredible at the time, movie style graphics on a PlayStation.
Yep.
I remember the commercials for it. Like, this is great. So I get why it's higher, but personally, I would have Chrono Trigger way higher on the list.
So here's the thing, and we'll get into this a little bit more because this is something I had a conversation. A friend of the show, Andre. Andre talked about this. He had watched Black Messiah, and I told him, I said I wasn't in the right mind to watch that. And also, when you watch something or you experience something, it depends on where you are in your life and your age, and does it hit you at a time when you can actually comprehend what you're ingesting.
Hmm.
And I think that's another thing when it comes to these list of games. Everybody's playing a game at a different time. So as you're playing a game as a child or an adolescent, that game may mean something different to you because this may be the first time you in your gaming life may be experiencing these themes this game is introducing to you. I think that is something we need to consider when we are developing these lists because this next game we're about to talk about is going to hit me harder as I replay this game now versus when I first played it. And I'm not going to say that I didn't give a shit about it when I first played it.
You didn't.
No, no, no. It's not that I didn't give a shit. I thought I was never one of the God of War edgelord people when this game came out. Like I played it, I thought it was okay. I thought it was a dime. I thought it was just another game like everything else that was out there. When
Hmm.
God of War was redeveloped, I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." But I got sidetracked by trying to like go to all the different realms and stuff like that, and I lost myself in. And then when I came back, I was like, I don't have no idea what the fuck is going on. I'm actually going to restart it because remember we played this on our old channel for me the
Yeah.
first time I played it, and I remember
Hmm.
I played it on hard, and I was like, "Oh, this is it!"
Yeah.
It
You
blew
get
my
very
mind.
far in the game.
I think I died 17 times in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Um,
it was an experience.
so I think that's something we need to um, consider. Ken brings up, come on, Mike and Leroy. Not all games can be higher on the list. You got to knock some of the games down if you're going to move some games up. Oh, I'm definitely going to knock some games down. I'm like, I personally think there are a lot of games on this list that should be further up, and some of these games should be lower. And I have definitely said this going forward, and you're going to hear, I think God of War should be higher on this list. The fact that this is 39 is, in my personal opinion, is a tragedy. God of War, the 2018 version of God of War. Now, if you had the first God of War as 39, we can quibble about that. This version, top 20 game of all time. I say that in the sense of the story, the gameplay. And here's the thing that I think we're seeing now with gamers and game developers getting older, dealing with something, parental issues. Whether it's Last of Us, whether it's God of War, you're now seeing an evolution in gaming and storytelling with The Witcher 3, dealing with people dealing with parenting and
Hmm.
how you parent, whether it's a child that is biologically yours or a child that is not biologically yours. Shit, I'm dealing with it right fucking now. It's just like that is something you're going to see in gaming, and I would like to see play a tale of what is it? The Xbox game, the with the rats, the plague.
Oh, Plague Tale.
Yes, those two
Yeah.
games. That's dealing with parental issues. You're having to take care of your brother in that game and raise your brother through this tumultuous time. I think you're going to start seeing more of those games, and I would like to see more of those games because they challenge your perception. So I think 39 is too low for God of War.
Okay.
Your retort, sir?
I think the game was incredible when it came out. I think, and the paragraph, I'm not going to read the paragraph, but I think it did. I think it did so much in terms of, like I said, a soft reboot because when the first God of War came out, this was cool. This was fun. But I mean, yeah,
It was Edgelord.
Kratos was definitely,
You were
yeah, he was,
fucking in that game. Remember, you had to
he
get the
definitely
hearts.
problematic. Yeah, you got to get that
Remember, you had
energy,
to get the
man.
hearts.
You got to get that energy if you want to survive. The
Yep.
only way to do that is to have sex with the ladies, apparently.
Yep.
Um,
Everybody forgets about the heart games.
yeah, but when they they did it, the reboot in 2018, and he looks back at that life in 2005, whenever, I think that game does a great job of moving the story forward and giving you a different frame for God of War because it's like, okay, first we we're dealing with Greek mythology, now we're dealing with Norse mythology, and not to spoil God of War 2018 or God of War Ragnarok, but like they set this series up to go with different mythologies.
Yes.
Like if they want to go with like Asian mythology next for God of War, I think that would be interesting.
I
I
would
hope
love
that's
for them to.
cool.
I would love for them to deal with the Orishas. If they go God of War and they finish the Norse mythology, have some balls, cojones, ovaries, vulva, whatever fucking genitalia you want to use. Go African mythology, bring us the Orishas, and go hard.
Hmm. Yeah, I would be
Dude,
down for that. I'd
yep.
like the idea of just trying something new, but I think it tells a really good story, and it does it because it would be so easy to pick at 2005 God of War, but like, man, this is cringe, right? I can't
Mhm.
believe how wild he was. But 2018 shows those games so much reference. It doesn't try to make fun of it. It's like that was a part of Kratos. He's grown up. He's older now, and he looks back at that, and
Mhm.
there's a really even though the game is old, I don't want to spoil it. There's a really good moment in 2018 God of War where there's like a big reference to stuff that happened in the first one in terms of what he's dealing with and looking at his own body, and it's fantastic. So I mean, I
Mhm.
think I would agree it needs to be higher. And who's that? Ken from Chicago said everything can't be higher. I think we'll as we switch over to like the top half of the games, you'll hear us start to say, okay, this could be lower, this could be lower.
Yep. Yep. Because to me, I'm pushing some games up further And my thing is same thing with Castlevania. If Metroid is up higher, put Castlevania next to it because to me those are comparable, and you can't have one leaps and bounds over the other. But I understand why they did it. We'll get into that later. Um, I would love to see Kratos fight alongside some of the Orishas, but that's just me. Shadow of Colossus.
This is one that I never played. I thought it looked cool, but I don't know. I wasn't in the right headspace to play this. Um, Having said that, I can't think of the person who made this game like this. And was it Guardian? What was the other one? The something Guardian.
What do you mean?
There's a game called something Guardian with the dog.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Whatever
Uh,
the big cat dog thing. It's all made by the same group.
yeah.
They have that new game coming out with the Shadow Mech that looks
Because
ridiculous. That I want to play.
these are
But
the same people behind Ico, right?
yes,
Yes.
all those games. Yeah. Um, I think the idea of you taking down these colossi is interesting. Is like they're essentially the levels in the game where you have to scale these things and essentially kill them because you're trying to save maybe your sister, maybe.
I don't want to. Let's not give it away. Let's. Some people still play it.
Okay.
This is a game that I will say going into it. The Last Guardian. Thank you, Banks. This is the game that I shitted on when it came out. I was like, "There's no people you fight. There's no. There's. I want to say there's 11 Guardians. Hold on. I gotta sneeze. I apologize, people.
There's no people you fight. Leroy, you fight the colossi. You kill them. What more fighting do you want?
Sorry, kids are sick in my house, so you know what that means. Fucking plague rats. Um, so this is a game that I poo pooed. I was
Hmm.
very much like, I don't give a shit about this, and then I played it. And remember, The Last of Us, Shadow of Colossus, and there's one other game that came at the end of the life cycle of PS3 that people were like, why are we ending the PS3? They just figured out how to make games on this platform. Because remember, the PS3 was a very hard platform to make games for. Um,
Well, Shadow of the Colossus was PlayStation 2,
no,
and then they
Shadow
remade it.
Colossus was PlayStation 3.
No, it was PlayStation 2, then they remade it for PlayStation 3.
Ah, you're
But
right.
like the
You're
original,
right.
yeah, the original game when it came out, it was
You're
PlayStation
right.
2.
And it was and then the remake came in at the end of the life cycle. You're right. And
Yeah.
that's why I was like, the journey of this game, like you traveling to these giant colossus and the way that you have to scale each of them, not gonna lie, I was wrong. And I was like, this is an amazing game. I won't quibble about its placement on the list. I think this is a great game. I think this is a game everyone should experience. And I will say this because you talked about this, most of our games are combat oriented.
Hmm.
This is a game I think should be celebrated that isn't combat oriented, so to speak. It isn't shoot people in the face, which is what I get off on. It
Hmm.
is a game of you overcoming obstacles. That is something that I think should be celebrated in gaming. And I think this game is an example of that. And I, again, not one of my favorite, but I think I love that this is on the list. Pokemon Gold and Silver. Not a Pokemon guy. Don't give a shit. I toss it to you.
I played a little bit of Pokemon games. I think when they first started, they were like, "Here's your kid's first RPG," and you
Oh,
have,
good way to look at it.
man, yeah, I can't even remember all the types, but you have what, grass, fire, water, and something. I don't know, 15 different
Earth,
types or something.
air.
Yeah, Captain Planet, whatever. Uh, but I mean, it teaches you essentially, rock paper scissors. What beats what? This beats that. This beats that. And I mean, it took off. Um, Nintendo technically they don't make Pokemon games, but they own or they have a majority stake in the company that does Game Freaks. And I know people are kind of not happy where the latest Pokemon games are in terms of, oh, they're not really hitting anymore. I mean, to be
Mhm.
fair, I think what is there like 1,000 or thousands of different Pokemon at this point? It kind of is like, what are you even making the Pokemon creatures look like? But when those first games came out, They were everywhere, and then the anime hit and came to America. The Pokemon. Do you know the Pokemon song? I mean, you don't have to rap.
Pokemon.
Yeah. Yep. See, exactly.
Yeah.
People know
Oh
it.
yeah. Here's
Got
the
to
thing.
catch them all.
This is why I have no problem with this on the list. I just don't give a shit about it because I'm not a Pokemon fan. But I
Yeah.
will say this: this game is one of those where I'm like, it's interesting. It's where it is, and I respect them for putting it 37 because you could have put it up higher and said because of the worldwide phenomenon that is Pokemon, you could have put it higher. But Rolling Stone said no, this is where it
Hmm.
should be. So
Hmm.
I respect that. I got no problem with it.
Yeah. I want to talk about 36 Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. Uh,
Go
I,
for it.
this is a game that, and there are lots of dorm games, lots of games like that. This is a game that was played in college dorms, starting with the first one on Nintendo 64, which might have been Super Smash Brothers Melee. You have so many different versions. This is definitely the one to put in there. This has, when we talk about Fortnite and all the characters that are involved in that,
Mhm.
um, all the characters that are in Ultimate, and I want to see if I can bring over this link just so people can see the photo. Let's see. How's all this stuff work? I ain't use these buttons in forever. Share screen. Yeah, let's try this. Yeah, just share this so y'all can see it here for a second.
I see it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. I mean, look at that list or look at that picture and see all these characters. You have your Nintendo characters, right? You got Mario, you got Donkey Kong, you got your Pokemon, and then
Mhm.
they just started going crazy. Said, "Hey, let's see if we can get this person. You want Sonic?
You-
Sonic is in the game.
here's the thing. I remember that, and
Yeah,
that was a game changer for me.
yeah. You want your boy Solid Snake? Sure, he's in the game. Why not?
Yep.
You want Sora
Yep.
from Kingdom Hearts? That was, I think, that
Yep.
was the last character they added. You want Final Fantasy
Strider's in this
7
game.
characters? Yeah, it's got like freaking everybody.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. And the thing that was really cool is if you just want a casual fighting game, it's a lot of fun. If you want like serious gameplay, you should go. Anybody who's just curious, go to YouTube and type in like serious Super Mario Brothers Ultimate gameplay to see people at high levels playing this game in tournaments. It's ridiculous, but
Mhm.
you don't have to play it like that. You could just knock people out until you knock them off the stage.
Yep.
Um, so I mean, I'm happy that it's here. Uh, uh, and I'm happy where it is on the list because I think a more important fighting game is higher up on the list. So I'm happy where it is at 38 or whatever,
Interesting. Okay.
or whatever it was. Yeah,
Like
36. Sorry.
I've played Smash Brothers. I'm not good at it, and I don't have the attachment to the characters like other people do. So I'm not
Hmm.
knocking it. It's just not for me. But I understand. I understand the love for it. Now here's my thing. I am okay with Sonic being 35.
Hey,
I'm okay with it.
who was the guy that we talked to who was very nice who was like an animator on the Sonic movie? Do you remember his name?
Yes, we
Tyler
did.
something?
Yeah, we interviewed him at USC in the garden, and his
Yeah,
parents were there. Yeah, I remember
yeah,
that.
yeah. Um, and because he and I were going back and forth, not really back and forth. I was just like, I didn't really care about Sonic. I thought Sonic was fine, but I didn't like the controls of it. I thought Sonic was always been very floaty in terms of his
Yeah,
jump.
you've definitely been a hater.
Yeah, still am. That's fine. But the argument that he made as somebody who loves Sonic and worked on the movies and everything is Sonic, as great as Mario is, Sonic seemed to be more adventurous in trying different things. I mean, I would argue, I mean, Mario's a freaking athlete.
No, he's
Mario
not.
does everything. Yeah, he
No,
does.
he's not. No, he's not.
There's a Mario basketball game. There's a Mario baseball
His
game. There's a
literal
soccer
movies
game.
shows he is not an athlete.
I
His
know
literal
it
movie
shows he's
proves he
not.
is not.
Maybe he's not athletic, but
No,
he
no, he
plays
is not an
sports.
athlete. No, Super Mario is Captain America before the Soldier Serum. That's Super Mario. He's a good dude who doesn't have the actual natural physical abilities to beat his opponents, but he has the can-do spirit of I can do this all day with some mushrooms,
Uh huh.
and that's what makes him great. We're not doing this. That's not what we're
Okay.
not doing. So Mario is not an athlete. He just has the super soldier serum that allows him to be an athlete. Now we're not doing this.
Sir, I played a soccer game where I've done some incredible Pele like bicycle kicks with Mario,
You're
so
right.
he's an athlete to me.
And those mushrooms helped him be an athlete. If we drug tested Super Mario, he would be suspended from the league. He would not be able to play in the Ravens versus Steelers games if we drug tested him. No, sir.
Sir,
We're not
he
doing that.
I don't think his sports leagues are in the same vein as Earth sports leagues.
I'm just saying. Thank you. Kim from Chicago. Mario takes drugs.
And your point?
Drugs is bad.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, sure. Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Yeah.
I really like Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And the thing I really like about Sonic the Hedgehog more than the gameplay is the music. I think that is some of the best chip tune music of all time music from Sonic the Hedgehog personally. Like I could listen to Sonic the Hedgehog 2 music as well as Mega Man X music for forever and be okay.
Yeah, that Sonic music is like so. I when we do the whole Sega versus Nintendo, I was a Sega kid. I
Hmm.
like Super Mario, and I think Super Mario 3 is one of the greatest games of all time. Like I like Super Mario Brothers. I like two. I think three is the best out of that
Okay.
side scrolling. I think three is the best. I love three. Um, sorry, the Ravens just beat the Steelers. It's 28-14. Lamar Jackson, Super Bowl. Hope he wins the MVP. Hope that for that young man, I hope he pulls it off, does it all. So I am. I like Sonic. I want Sonic. I love this glow up that Sonic is having of the movies, the television series. I love the fact that you have some of the biggest actors in the world voicing characters in Sonic. I love the fact that Jim Carrey went broke and had to come back to be Dr. Robotnik. I finally watched the first Sonic movie past year
Dang. Wow.
because I never watched it.
Yeah,
My
fair enough.
so I now I will say this: I just hadn't gotten around to it. I love that Idris Elba is Knuckles. Like I almost got Paramount Plus just to watch that Knuckles series. That's how much because I love this universe. So I'm cool with it being exactly where it is. Here's the one I have serious issues with. The floors, not this one, the one after this. The floor is
No.
yours. Hollow Knight.
I mean, I don't got nothing to say about Hollow Knight.
Hollow Knight. I'm glad that it's up there. Love to see that a indie once again crack. I think it should be a little higher up on the list. Got no problem with
Uh-huh.
it. Hollow Knight is not for me because if I'm playing Hollow Knight, guess what? That setting's going on fucking easy. Because here's the thing,
Does
I
Hollow Knight
don't
have an
know.
easy setting?
It does not.
Okay.
Okay, I'm with you. I could listen to Idris Elba all day. I could listen to Idris Elba just give me directions. Here's the thing that I will say: I have enough adversity in my life. I don't need to play a game. We'll get to this later. I played The Last of Us. I've played it on every setting. I just finished The Last of Us Part 1 again. Literally just finished it last night at 1 a.m. in the morning. I am not going to play it on the hardest setting, even though I need to do that to get my next whatever trophy achievement. You
Hmm.
know why? Because I don't need that hard shit in my life. My life already is on hard. I'm
Sure.
old. I'm black. I got a white wife and two goddamn high yellow kids who don't listen to me. I don't need any more adversity.
Sure.
Just don't need it. So Hollow Knight, I love you. I think the whole idea, it's I actually bought Hollow Knight. It's on my Steam list. I bought it. Guess what? Never fucking played it. You know why I did that? So the
Because it was
indie
super cheap.
developer
Oh,
no. So the indie developer could get that money because I want them to succeed. That's how I feel about Hollow Knight. I want to play it so bad, but guess what? I don't have the time or the energy to sink into getting my ass kicked over and over again in a cutesy world of bugs.
one thing I do like about those games, at least the roguelikes that are really well made, is if they're done very well. Because I think sometimes people take the wrong idea, developers take the wrong idea from roguelikes and that, oh, I need to make it as hard as possible. And maybe you can do that, but reward the player for getting better at the game. Sometimes I think they just make it as hard as possible and they don't necessarily reward the player for mastering the skills. But I think when you are able to master the skills in those games, you're able to take on the difficulty more easily. Um, that's kind of how it was with me for Hades, where Hades was hard for me at first, but I learned the timing and the parries and how to really use the boons and put the weapons together to get better at the game. And I think the best roguelikes and stuff like that allow you to master those abilities and not just be hard for hard's sake, but hard and also reward that with you learning the game. And I feel like Hollow Knight is one of those games where I've seen people play it are really good and like, oh, these people know the mechanics of the game inside out and they can really do all kinds of amazing parries and do all kinds of stuff in the game.
Here's the thing. I'm all for people who play those games. Like I said, I'm not. I know a lot of people shit on certain things because it's not for them. I don't care how hard goddamn Elden Ring is. It's not for me. Bloodborne, not for me. I enjoy that those people enjoy it. I'm quite fine where Hollow Knight is, and I'm happy for those people. Here's the one that I'm like, are you serious? NBA 2K 11? Get the fuck out of here. But
You don't think it should be on the list, or you think it should be lower, or
I don't know how I feel about sports games because every year they come out, it's the same game. So I didn't play this to have an opinion, but I have an opinion, if that makes sense.
sure. Yeah, it's weird that they picked this one, and I'm kind of reading over like they're saying like the 2010 edition was like the pinnacle of the game. It is weird because when you see like and I guess we can bring up let me share the screen again so we can just see the photo of Blake Griffin. Um, I mean, it is what it is. It came out for PlayStation 2 and 3, so yeah, these are the graphics that you're going to get. But let's see.
Here's the problem that I have with this. Do you know why I have a problem with this? College football's not on this list, if that makes sense. Sorry. Madden is on this list. College football, after they stopped making it, what was the last one? 2012?
Yeah,
And they just released the newest one this year because of
yeah,
NIL and all these different lawsuits. And I have no problem with them, these kids getting their money. I am for the worker, for the player. I am. You will never hear me champion the corporation, yada yada yada. I'm always for the worker, for the underprivileged. I don't understand why college football is not on this list, but NBA 2K is. But again, I have not played it, so I don't have a dog in this fight.
I mean,
But
also NBA 2K sells ridiculous.
it does. But
So
we
maybe that's what
also,
they're going for, like the cultural significance of it, of
but
like when people. And to be fair, there's only been a season of college football, but I can think of rappers talking about NBA 2K in songs. I can think of shows where they're playing NBA 2K.
I'm not knocking the relevance of this game. What I'm saying is I've never played it, so I don't know where this game should be placed. I do have a problem with it being on the list and a college football game not being on the list, if that makes any sense. Because if you're talking about relevance, I'm not knocking 2K. I'm just saying if you talk about relevance and a college game, a college football game is not on this list. This is where the video comes in, where I need to hear why you didn't put that on there, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Because if you can explain why that's not on this list when college football is such a pantheon when it comes to sports, when it comes to gaming, when it comes to that game sold like blockbusters. Like like right now we're talking about the college football playoff. We have the the teams Notre Dame and Ohio State is in the national championship game. Those are two blue blood programs that the whole world is going to be watching. To not have that the parallel of that game being on this list is mind boggling to me. So, but continue. I apologize.
No, that's it. Next up, Miss Pac-Man.
Mm, floor is yours, sir. I got nothing.
I got nothing either. I know when I hear people talk, it does. I think people the consensus is Miss Pac-Man is a better game to Pac-Man.
Okay.
So I get why they would put this one over Pac-Man. I think there's more variety in the enemy design or the enemy strategies with how they move and everything. And people say Miss Pac-Man is better than Pac-Man. I think it's cool, and I'm glad that they have an old arcade game like that on here. Um,
Should have been 43.
Okay, so here we
Hey,
go. What was that? That was Kim from Chicago saying, when are we going to talk about games being higher or lower? Here we go. This game should be
NBA
lower.
2K lower, Miss Pac-Man lower. I'm gonna go, and here's the thing. I'm gonna go the next one. Should have been lower.
I got to
Wii
scroll back to the
Sports.
other screen.
Yep, should have been lower.
Wait, nah, we
Yep.
Counter Strike? No. So you
Oh,
skipping
sorry,
Counter Strike and going to Wii Sports?
sorry.
Okay, that's cool. No, no, we're good.
Counter Strike. I think Counter Strike should be a little higher, but I understand where it is. Why it is where it is, and I have no problem with it as long as it's on the list. Only because Counter Strike started this genre, this death match, all of the things that comes with Counter Strike. There are people still playing it. Um, no problem with it. Personally, I'm biased. I would like for it to be higher, but I have no problem with it. But those other two games and this next one we're going to talk about, 40s.
Um, I don't know. Like the pick up and play appeal of Wii Sports is ridiculous. Whether or
Agreed.
not it is complex enough for people, I don't know. But like, do you remember when the Wii came out and people were like, the Wii, that's a stupid name. And then the Wii sold like gangbusters.
One of the best
Um,
selling consoles of all fucking time.
Wii Sports, some people use it for like physical therapy.
Yep.
It's in retirement homes. I mean, it's everywhere. People know Wii
My
Sports.
boss
People who had
just
gotten
tried to
out of
get
video games went back and got back into it. Like, I feel like, and I won't say this was the only game, but this, along with some mobile games, like really popularized the term of casual gamer because of Wii
my
Sports.
boss just tried to get us to get because we don't do a play day, and I was like, they my boss was like, I can bring my Wii in, and I'm looked at her like,
Yeah.
I had to remember what generation she was from, and I was
Hmm.
like, okay, cool. Like I'm not knocking. It was just one of those things where I was like, oh yeah, I forgot, and that's just me because this isn't a game for me.
Sure.
But this is when I need to take my old man, that's not gaming hat off and be like, you know what? It should be on the list. I just don't think it should be this fucking high. That's just me.
Okay. Okay. Well, there we go. Ken, you wanted us to talk about games being lower? There we go.
Yep.
There we go.
Next.
Uncharted 2, Among
Higher.
Thieves.
Higher.
I don't disagree with that. Um, when I think of
Top
all the
20.
Uncharted games, I think Uncharted 2 might be my number one Uncharted game. I think
It
so.
is. Because I've always said three, and you've always said two.
Yeah, and for me, I feel like 3 story-wise kind of repeated some of the same beats as 2 in terms of like where Elena and Sam are, not Sam, Nathan are. I feel like they're kind of doing the same thing again. Like, hey, we already did this in 2. You're doing it again in 3. I don't know.
I agree. However, I think three's gameplay, unmatched.
Okay.
Unmatched. Like the plane, the pirates. Uh, I
Isn't
think
there pirates in all of them?
Yeah, but you remember the ship going down? That's three.
Oh, okay. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, like for me, three is the pinnacle of Uncharted. Now the motorcycle chase in four, mwah, chef's kiss. But
Hmm.
I think three, gameplay wise,
Okay.
I
I
would put
really
three.
like the DLC that featured Chloe and
Yes, the
what's the black
Lost
woman's name? That was voiced by a white lady, but it is what it is.
Nadine.
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 Yeah, that was fun. Lost Legacy, maybe?
Yes, yes, you're
Yeah,
right.
that was good.
I got that somewhere.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Um, yeah, I could see Uncharted being higher. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I like now Minecraft. Here's one, and I'm gonna say this, and I
Get
know
these people,
this is
get these people mad at you.
Minecraft should be in the top 10.
Oh, I don't think people would be upset you with that. Oh, okay, okay.
Yep,
Hold on to that thought.
yep,
When we get to the top 10, tell me
yep.
what you would take
Okay,
out. Put that in there.
okay. Minecraft, and I know exactly what game I'm taking out of the top 10, but Minecraft, top 10. And
Okay.
I say that, and I don't fucking play it.
Yeah.
I say that. I don't play it, but Minecraft should be top 10. That's just me.
Okay. Next
Resident
up,
Evil
Resident
4.
Evil. Yeah.
Higher.
Yeah.
I swapped. I've probably told the story before. You might have heard it. Um, I swapped my PlayStation to play the original Resident Evil 4 on GameCube
On a GameCube. Okay.
and Metroid. So I think though both of those games should be higher up. I will admit, Resident Evil 4 made me get back into Resident Evil because I was never a fan. I always thought the controls sucked. Always thought the storyline was eh. I never bought into it. 4 did. But again, that's the bias in me, so I have to take that out of it. I do think Resident Evil 4 should be higher.
Okay.
And I think it should be higher because it's the game everybody wanted to be remade. When they started
Sure.
remaking these games, and they were like, we're going to remake Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2 or 2 and 3, and everybody's like, yeah, what about 4? Like,
Hmm.
and that's the one that they were like, remake this shit. So that's just me.
Okay. Next up, Mass Effect 2. It's
Higher.
fine right where it is. Okay, it's fine right
Really?
where it is. Yeah, it's fine.
Still got it. Still got it.
Yeah. I mean,
This is the
thoughts?
game. This is the game when the woman I was dating at the time left to go to work. She was a nurse and she worked a 10 to 12 hour shift. I had not moved from the couch playing this game. Like I was literally in the same spot. I might have gotten up to pee, and I don't know if I did. Not saying I
Okay.
was one of those dudes who wore a diaper. This game to me was amazing. Um, you start off. I This was an amazing game. I'm not going to tell you. I there's a remaster of all three games out for the PS5 or PS4.
I think it might be 4 and Xbox
Either way,
One. Yeah.
go play it. Go, to me, it should be higher.
Okay.
Um, and here's the thing: I'm going to say some controversial shit coming up with some of these games, but this should be higher. But continue.
Okay. Stardew Valley was 25.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that. That is a game that kind of got me into the cozy simulator style game, cozy life games. Stardew Valley. There is an ending now, and I think what is this? One Concerned Ape. I think that's the developer. That's their
Hmm.
pseudonym that they go by. Um, Pretty much a one person developed game. There is so
Hmm.
much content and so much additional content that they added to it for free. It is. I think it's like Stardew Valley 1.6 now. There are
Yeah.
more romance options, more farms you can play in. But that game is a game you can play forever. Even after you beat it, you can still keep going because maybe you want to have the most honey in all of what was the name of the place? What was the name of Stardew Valley? What was the name of the town? If I can remember. I
Don't
don't
know.
know. I don't know, but that was a fun game, much like Animal Crossing. Um, just well, slightly different because there actually are enemies that you can fight in Stardew Valley.
Mhm.
Um, but beyond that, I mean, just trying to grow your own farm and making the best, highest producing farm and beating out the subtle themes it has over commercialism and capitalism and religion and stuff. It's interesting,
Excuse me. Okay.
very interesting.
Next.
Uh,
I have no opinion. I have never played it. Although I am interested in playing it on my phone because I need that fix of a phone game
okay,
at work. So
you should play Marvel Snap on your phone.
I did, and I
Okay.
fell off
Okay,
twice.
me too. I did too. I fell off.
Yeah.
Sims, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. I'm friend of the show. Lauren would probably put it higher, but yeah.
Yeah. I know the
Tony
big thing
Hawk's.
for a lot of people for Sims was killing your Sims, which is, I mean, that's on them, putting them in pools and taking out the ladder so they
Yeah,
drown
I
in the
saw that.
pool.
Hey, I
Yeah,
got no problem if you want to kill your character.
there you go. Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I mean, that started a franchise. I think they're up to the
Yep.
fifth one now, and they did so many different spin-offs of it. Do you remember Kelly Slater,
Yep.
Pro Windsurfer or Pro
Mhm.
Wakeboard? That was a version they did. There are so many different guest characters in the Tony Hawk franchise. Wolverine, I think, was a character at one point. Spider Man. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
It.
Here's the thing. I think they should bring back a skating game and make it more like kind of like Fortnite. Or
Oh, like
you know
a
what
battle
you could
royale
do?
skating game.
Huh?
Hmm.
And bring in some of these characters. Bring in people. Oh, Banks. Sims will never die. Sims is the fucking herpes of gaming.
Yeah, I mean they continue to make DLC that people buy,
Yeah,
and they're working on a
you're never
Sims
gonna.
5. I
Sorry,
can't remember what the code name is for, but they're making a Sims 5.
that came out wrong. I apologize when I said the herpes of gaming. I meant it as you will never kill Sims. Once you get Sims, you always have Sims in you. It's just a matter of when Sims pops back up in your life.
I like Kay's comment. I would swap out Stardew for City Skylines. I think that's fun. I think that's an interesting idea. I tried to get into City Skylines on my Xbox, and I
Mhm.
wasn't in the right headspace. I was trying to do multiple things. There's something I really need to concentrate on, but I do like the idea of building out your own city. Um, and I hear like City Skylines is what people wanted from the original, or from like the newer Sim cities. Are like, oh, you really get into city development and zoning land, and like here's your commercial land, and here's your residential land, and
You
all
know
that
what's
stuff.
interesting that's not on this list?
What's that?
When we talk about Sims, no RTS games as far as like and there's no Axis and Allies on this list. There's also no Civilization on this list.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And and we'll get more into it. There's a couple of games on this list and I'm like, and that's where I say I'm now we're about to get into me kicking games down. And I'm about to go hard in the motherfucking paint. But continue.
Call of Duty 4 is next.
I like where it is. And I say
Have
that,
fun.
hold on. So I should have been showing this earlier because make sure I'm back on the screen. I have Arkham Knight, Mass
Yeah,
Effect.
Ken from
So
Chicago. Yeah, City Skylines. There's a console version.
oh, wait,
I
sorry.
think it's even called City Skylines console, but there's a console version of City Skylines.
Uncharted 3. Uh, I have the original. I was so mad that that's damaged on the side, but I have every version of this game that's come out. I have. There are certain games. So, and the reason why I say this is important because I love this game. I like where it is because there are other games I would have put higher up. I love this game. This game to me changed. This game changed gaming, changed first person shooter. It updated the Call of Duty games. They were mostly World War II games. It introduced us to Price. It introduced us to Task Force 141, um, Makarov, uh, the Pripyat. So a lot. Here's the thing. I don't know if you realize this. Do you know a lot of people didn't know about Chernobyl or like the
Did not know that.
effects of. So what?
I said did not know about that.
So this game introduced people to the devastation Chernobyl had on Ukraine and Pripyat.
Okay.
So like that's one of those things where I like as much as I love this game, I like where it is. And I personally, this is a top 10 game for me. But I also realize I play these type of games, if that makes
Okay.
sense. So,
Okay. Editor's note: we are at an hour 40.
yep.
So either we can stop here and continue next week, or we got to speed up because I'm freezing in this house. So what you
Mm.
want to do?
You know what? We're at 22.
Uh huh.
Everybody who's watched this so far, we're at 22. Let's get to the top 20. Let's do two more games
Okay.
and let's recap the list and then we'll do a top 20 next week. So, right now, we did Call of Duty. 21 is Fallout 3. Higher or lower?
I would put it lower,
Ooh,
but
it's not
again,
expecting you to
that's
say that.
yeah,
Almost spit
well
out my
here. Yeah, I
drink.
mean, The Fallout games are
Okay.
interesting for me because we talk about Bethesda, and for me, this was peak Bethesda Fallout in terms of bugs all the time happening.
We'll
So,
disagree with
it,
Anita's.
yeah, it could be a case of me needing to try again to play it, but there were so many bugs when I played it, it just kind of took me out of it. So maybe I need to play it again with fresh eyes.
That's
But
how New
yeah,
Vegas was for me. I love Fallout 3 though.
yeah.
So
So
I don't
for me, I would make it lower, but again, this isn't my list.
okay. I have no problem with it where it is.
Hmm.
Um, I love Fallout 3. Um, I love New Vegas, but New Vegas was so buggy that I almost didn't finish it and it upset me. But I was able to finish Fallout 3. And
Okay.
Fallout 3 was one of those games where I was like, blew my mind. Super mutants, death claws, the choices was something that was brand new for me as a console gamer. So, uh, changed the way I looked at stuff. Mario Kart 64, lower.
I need Long Johns or a Snuggie. I mean, Ken, I'm in a house where I don't pay the bill, so I'm not gonna turn somebody's heat on if I don't pay a bill in their house. So it is what it is. Um, Mario Kart, I'm surprised, and I think Mario Kart may be the only racing game on the list,
It
which
is.
I find interesting.
There's
Um,
no Forza. There's
Gran
no.
Turismo,
Nope.
yeah, that's interesting. Um, I get Mario Kart though. Mario Kart, much like, and it kind of shows the power of Nintendo. But in terms of making these games that you play in your college dorm with a bunch of people,
Hmm.
Mario Kart is the way to go. And I think, is it Mario Kart 64 that's on here, or is it another
Yep.
one? I mean, Mario Kart 64 is the one, right? Because you play it on a 64, there are four ports for you to plug up four controllers. So if you have the income to have four controllers, that is a good time to be had on a Mario Kart 64. The tracks were fun. Super Mario Kart was fun on Super Nintendo, but when it came to 64, you're like, ooh, it's in 3D now. There's so many different shortcuts and everything. You could have lots of fights with people playing Mario Kart 64.
Yeah, you had a lot of fights with so a lot of these get battle royale games.
Fair enough, yeah.
Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, um, not necessarily Wii Sports, but yeah, a lot of these battle royale games, multiplayer games. Yeah, people have some issues with. Uh, so we ended at the top 20. We're gonna get back to this list. So this is next week. Maybe this will be something we drop. Maybe we don't do it live. I don't know. Just depends. So far, I like this list. There's a
Hmm.
lot of things like I said. I wanted to get to it. There's no Civilization on this list. There's no college
As a
football.
person who loves Civilization, I'm okay with that.
I'm actually surprised that you're okay with that. Now,
Yeah.
here's the thing. My brother-in-law loves Civilization.
Hmm.
He actually got his son to start playing one of the older games. Uh, I'm shocked Axis and Allies isn't on this. Eve Online, StarCraft. So I'm getting to the things that are not on this list that actually kind of shocked me. Um, that's surprising for the type of list that this is. If you're talking top 50, I'm shocked that some of these games aren't on it, but I'm not mad, if that makes
Okay.
sense. Like,
Cool.
I'm shocked you don't have Forza or Gran Turismo in here or a flight simulator game. Like,
Hmm.
the recent flight simulator games are mind blowing. The
Yeah.
details, the places you can fly, the intricacies. Pilots have talked about how good these games are. So like to me, having a pilot talk about how good your game is like talking about like a special forces person or a person who's seen combat talking about, oh my gosh, Call of Duty is amazing. If that translates. So it is interesting that those games aren't on there. Um, we're gonna go. Michael,
Hmm.
how was your New Year or New Year's Eve or what are you looking forward to real quick as we wrap this up?
I don't know, man. I mean, I spent the night at the station last night into this morning because of I didn't want to drive on icy roads last night.
I understand it.
So that was a fun situation, getting like 2 hours of sleep and then waking up because people were coming in to do the Saturday morning show. So that was fun. Um, but
I understand it. Like
I
I didn't
am. Go ahead.
No, I didn't leave the house.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, I didn't leave the like the kids were little, like they weren't sick, but they were like running noses and stuff like that. And there's a con going on at this state fairgrounds that I
Mm,
thought about going to, and then I got an invite to a basketball game,
mhm.
and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna just chill at the house because people don't know how to drive, and I didn't want to be around a lot of people if the kids were sniffly. But then they
Sure.
recovered and was like rebound. I'm like, okay, I don't have the plague, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely get that.
Yeah. Real quick, what got me through the week? I talked with Leroy about this, but people, even if you don't watch wrestling, if you have Netflix, I would encourage you just to watch the first 10 minutes of Monday Night Raw going to Netflix, the first episode. In terms of production value, it is something live production value for a live TV show. It is wild.
They are
It
the
is
best.
fantastic.
I've said
Yeah, it
this.
is fantastic what they did. I can guarantee going forward, Monday Night Raw will never look like that again. I don't think they could afford it on a regular basis. But what they did for the first 10 minutes is wild in terms of how they set up and tell you the story of what wrestling is. Very good production value. Um, Still playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I think at last checked, I was at 147 hours in that game. Um, and that is just me trying to 100% it and trying to fight bosses at a lower level than I should be because I can beat the game by now. I just haven't yet, but enjoying that.
Spoken
So
like
those
a
are my
man
two
without
things.
kids, because I'm just trying to finish the game.
Yeah, yeah,
I
pretty
ain't trying
much.
to 100% shit.
Yeah, but that's me. What about you?
Uh, I was playing Alan Wake 2, and this shit got too dark. And I said, I need to play something that isn't going to fuck with my head. I need to play something that's going to put me in a better peace of mind, something that I can understand. You know what I decided?
What's that? That's gonna put you in a better frame. Wow. Okay. We need to talk, man. Offline. That's rough, man.
I said, let's pop this in. And not gonna lie, that first opening, like even though I know what's gonna happen, I was like, shit, this is some heavy shit. And as the
Hmm.
game kept going, I was like, whew, I feel right. I feel
Hmm.
okay. And
There we go.
because the game mechanics that I was like, I've played this game. This is the first time I played it, this version of it. Like I have so many different versions of it. And I was like, okay. I was on hard. And then in the middle of me like playing like the opening sequence, I was like, I'm not playing this on hard. I dropped the difficulty to just normal and I just played it just for the story. And I was like, this is amazing. I understand why this is one of the top games of all time. Um, and part of it was, I don't know if I texted you, but they dropped a teaser for season 2 of The Last of Us on Max,
Uh-huh.
and I love this game. And honestly, I'll probably share a picture of it. I just put in part 2,
Hmm.
uploaded it. I have Star Wars Outlaws coming. My sister bought it for me for Christmas.
Cool.
I'll play that after this. I'm literally jumping from this to this because I'm like, I don't know why, but I need that in my life. I've been watching The Foundation, Silo, and What If.
Okay.
So I'm almost done with What If, and I got it. Be honest with you, this is what I thought What If should be. Like I feel like they're right. They found their groove. I need the most outrageous bullshit you can come up with, Marvel. And
Sure.
the one with the Winter Soldier and Red Guardian, muh, uh, perfect. I'm watching the one with Storm is the God of Thunder. I need that motherfucking action figure. Not even gonna lie to you. When they release later this year, they're gonna have the molds of Storm. Day one, buy whatever it is. I'm buying multiple versions of it, and I'm gonna find a customizer to give me multiple versions. Like when have you watched it yet?
Yeah, I've seen it all.
When you how did you feel when you saw her? You were like, wow.
I thought that was awesome. That was cool.
Yeah.
And
So
that reminded me that we need to get that lady's interview up.
I'll tell you right now,
Cool.
I'm gonna need some help. But anyway, uh,
Okay.
so yeah, yeah. So that's where I am right now. New Year's resolution: be better. Spoilers. What did I spoil? I apologize, Binks. What did I spoil?
Who knows? Probably just talking about what if overall. Just general
Oh no
thoughts.
no no. Like she's in the trailer for. Sorry if you didn't know. Storm is the god of thunder in What If. She's in the trailer for this season. So, and my girl's back. I don't know if you can see. Shit, is it up there? Yeah, Haley Atwell. She's back as
Hmm.
the captain. So that's it for everybody. Watch that list or read that list. Come with your own thoughts. What you should think it should be in the top 20, and what you think should be number one. Because I got some issues with number one. I got issues with the top 10. So
Fantastic.
let's get to it. So everybody, happy New Year! Glad you all made it. 2025 is going to be our year. Uh, less stress. I hope everybody has the 2025 because hey, this channel is about positivity.
There we go.
Yep.
Folks, we're out. See
Fuck
you
them
next
haters.
week. Haters. Later.